So I figured what I'd do is do a little bit of verbal explanation and recording of what's going on training-wise. The numbers are there, the video's there, but having something explaining the subjective material, where things are, what the overall plan is. I think that'll be valuable later on down the road. Yesterday was actually pretty special. Yesterday marked the 2 years that I started strength training, which is pretty cool. So at this point, it might change next week, but after 2 years of maybe somewhat productive training without a coach, I've got a 350 squat, a 252 bench, 405 deadlift, and press for 147 for a double. So that's pretty exciting. Started at 125 pounds body weight, currently 192. So referencing the log, week 70 was somewhat of a peaking week for me, just when I got the 350 squat. Week 71 was a pivot off of that, and then weeks 72 up till 76, so that 5 weeks of training was all stress accumulation. And this is kind of the first time that I've delved into any kind of block of any sort. Up until then, it's been linear progression, going into high-low medium, transitioning slowly into Texas method, coming out of that into some kind of every other week, high and low medium. And this 5 weeks of accumulation was followed by this week, which is week 77, of really high amounts of fatigue, things aching all over the place. Really just all the signs were there that there's a lot of stress going on. So I've followed this week with the same program, but using the RPE as more of a prescription and less of a check. Up until now, it's been a check, where if I do a squat single at 8, it's supposed to feel like an 8. And if it feels easier than that, great. If it feels harder than that, okay. But it's not really prescribing and dictating what I do in training. This week is different, where I might have a certain weight set at 8 for a single, and I'm probably going to get in the warm-ups to a weight that feels like an 8, but it's not to that intensity that I had programmed, which is fine, and I'll keep it at an 8. So all the stress overall this week, at least in terms of the squat and deadlift movements, have been lighter intensity. And the hope is that the 5 weeks of accumulation plus this week of lower intensity will mean that next week will be higher intensity than has been the past 6 weeks. And that's the hope of kind of this, we're slowly going up each week, and then there's a big decrease and then a big increase afterwards. Kind of following the emerging strategies system. So we'll see how that goes, but I just kind of wanted to put that into recording so it's there. The plan from here is really just to keep training that way. I'll be doing these blocks where I'm just running a program, accumulating fatigue, making sure that everything is working, and then see how long that lasts until I get to this point where the stress has been too much and there needs to be some back off, and then we'll see how I respond afterwards. It may be that week 76 was as high as it was going to get, and in the future I need to pivot from there and go on to a different block. Or it may be that this is going to be the normal pattern where I'll train for 5 or 6 weeks, accumulate fatigue, deload 1 week or 2 weeks, and then have a peak afterwards. Either way, we'll see how it goes. I felt really horrible going into the beginning of this week. Again, this is week 77 I'm talking about. But feeling much better now. This is Saturday, the 30th, March 30th, before training. We got training in about 2 hours. And feeling pretty good. Maybe not at 100%, which is not where I'd want to be, not where I would expect to be, but certainly at a point where things aren't aching, I don't have weird twinges, feeling pretty good. So we'll see what happens. I guess that's it. I don't know how to do this really, so we'll see what happens.